Hello, welcome back to my Pixelmon Hardcore Nuzlocke, a series which, as of my last video, actually deserves to be called that. We made a ton of progress last time towards my Nuzlocke, and when I say progress, I mean that I got my ass kicked almost immediately, on 4 different occasions. I can't say I wasn't warned. So to recap, last time I took part in a Halloween event that as of recording this is still active, which basically involved a scavenger hunt throughout a haunted mansion with a rare boss waiting in the center of it all. We had to fight the gym leader Alistair from Pokemon Shield, who used Pokemon that would always be 20 levels above our own. And something unbeknownst to me at the time, these levels would exceed level 100. Alistair was a dirty cheater, but with some solid team building, which we built from scratch using my shiny box, a whole lot of EV training, and me actually using that little thinking device up in my head, we were able to make it through with 2 months still alive. I was in disbelief. And then I let that get to my head. I decided to take on a real gym with Pokemon level 25, and that went poorly. Really poorly. I built a solid team to handle a normal gym, expecting it to be something like a buff Sharon from Black and White 2. Something that'll be a little challenging, but ultimately just a tutorial since it's only the first gym. My first attempt, I got swept by Eradicate, who had Guts, and a Flame Orb, and Facade, which is a nasty combination that you'd see in competitive Pokemon, and we faced some variation of that 4 different times. Well, I may have been humiliated, but now I know exactly what to expect, and today we're gonna enact our revenge. Perhaps using some of their dirty tricks against them. But first, as always, if you're interested in playing Pixelmon yourself, please join me on the play.pocketpixels.net server. Everything you need is linked in the description, and aside from a Minecraft Java account, it is all free. I play on the Quantum server, and I look forward to seeing you there. Also be sure to join my Discord, the link's also in the description. There are some free starter packs that you can get, but I'll go into more detail at the end of the video. For now, we should probably get started on our new team. So based on the teams that we faced last time, it seems that we need to focus on Pokemon that hit hard and fast. Once the Pokemon get their boost, whatever it may be, it'll one-shot any of my Mon that doesn't outright resist their attacks. While there was a strategy that I saw being used during one of my matches that I kinda want to steal, take inspiration from. Now there are 2 limitations that we have early on. The first one is that we can only be level 25, meaning the amount of EVs that we can earn is limited, as we'll always gain XP along with them. Is what I thought, but turns out that you can lock your levels, and doing this still allows you to gain EVs. I really wish I knew this earlier. The second limitation unfortunately doesn't have an easy workaround. TMs in this game are hard to come by. Finding the exact ones we want will be nearly impossible. There are move tokens which give you a free move to use, but they're rare and expensive. We shouldn't really waste them on the first gym. So we'll need to almost entirely rely on a Pokemon's level up learn set. But there is actually something else that we can do. Something that I don't do in my regular Nuzlocks, but we may very well have to go down this route at some point during our gym challenge. And why not start now? I, of course, am talking about breeding. It's pretty clear that the gym leaders are using Pokemon that have max IVs and optimal natures, and the only reliable way we can get that will be through breeding. This isn't too relevant for the first gym, but will make all the difference later on. But it's not only stats that we can breed for, but also moves. Egg moves, in short, are moves that can be passed down to a Pokemon by a parent of a different species, which otherwise they may not be able to get. This opens up a whole arsenal of really strong moves that we can get at a level as low as 1, and I already have the perfect candidate, our star of Gym 1. But first let's talk about restrictions. Most people playing Pixelmon aren't doing a Nuzlocke, so this is not an issue for them, but we are, so we should probably come up with some restrictions. The first obvious one is the Dupes Clause. We can only use 1 Pokemon of a species, and by breeding, we're obviously breaching that. Well, I couldn't think of a good workaround for this, so instead, I decided to alter the rules so that we can switch out a Pokemon of the same species for a new one, so long as it's part of our team and is still alive. So for example, since we lost Surfish last video, the Farfetch line is forever lost. But since Grimmsnarl survived, we can get a brand new Impidimp whenever we want, in exchange for retiring Grimmsnarl. The Pokemon that we discard can never come back. They're on their retirement after all. The replacement Pokemon, however, will still use up a new encounter slot. This is still a system that I'm trying to work out, but we're still so early in that it doesn't really matter at the moment. We have plenty of slots open. So if we breed for a Pokemon, that newly hatched Pokemon can replace its parent if we choose to do so. However, another part of that is that both parents we used to breed for the egg need to be part of my team. We can't just use any random Pokemon that we have in our box for egg moves. If we use them, then they're part of the team. I hope these are enough restrictions to justify breeding, as to get just 1 egg we need to use 3 different encounter slots. But please let me know in the comments if you have a better idea. I kinda made up these on a whim, since I really wanted to use egg moves. This may seem small, but look up the moves that Pokemon learn within their first 25 levels. They aren't very good. Breeding for stats would be even better, but I think that's a bit too time consuming for this challenge. It's not like I'm taking part in a competitive tournament or anything. Anyway, enough of that, back to team building. So, like I said, I already know who the star of this next gym is going to be. There was a strategy used during one of my matches that I was intrigued by and needed to use for myself. Now, Guts Eradicate is cool, but as someone who has done many a Nuzlocke, it's a pretty standard choice when talking of out-of-the-box strategies. But one that caught my attention, one that I've never seen used before, was Chatot. Who ever uses a Chatot? Chatot was a powerhouse. It came packed with Boom Burst, a normal move with a base power of 140, 10 less than Hyper Beam, and with no drawbacks. It even has 100% accuracy. But that's not it. Chatot came equipped with the item Throat Spray, which raises special attack by 1 stage when using a sound-based move, which of course Boom Burst is. It even had Chatter, a flying type sound move just in case. I need to replicate it. In short, I'm not above copying other people's tactics, but using Chatot probably isn't going to work for us. Chatot has a very middling speed stat, and it's very unlikely that we'll get a Chatot with perfect speed stats. In fact, it's more likely that we'll get a mediocre one. We'll end up being outsped by most of the gym leaders' mons, as they seem to be set up as sweepers. So what we need is a mon that has an insane speed stat to the point where it can outspeed a fully invested Pokemon with a base speed stat of 100, which is Miltank's base speed, who was probably the fastest mon that we faced. Well, would you believe that there is in fact a Pokemon that meets all of the requirements that are listed? And it's pretty common. Just over to the forest next to my base, we can catch a fairly common spawning Taillow, specifically a female one. Swallow has a base speed stat of 125, who even without the speed boosting nature, only needs 11 out of 31 speed IVs to outspeed Miltank. In other words, we are very likely to get one that meets our needs. But also, it gets 2 very interesting moves, but specifically by breeding. For that, we'll need to catch another Pokemon to add to our team, and that will be Noibat, specifically a male one. Now remember, we don't have level caps, so we can train Pokemon as much as we want, we just won't be able to use them in the gyms that they overlevel. So with that in mind, we're going to train Noibat all the way to level 62, during which he'll evolve into Noivern and learn 2 moves. Hurricane, a 120 base power flying move, and Boom Burst, a move we know all too well. And both of these moves can be passed down to Taillow through breeding. See, I don't just ramble on for no reason. I won't go too in depth with the breeding mechanics. Basically, you need a male and female Pokemon that share a common egg group. They don't have to be the same species. Unless you're using a Ditto, the Pokemon hatched from the egg will always be the same species as the mother, and will get any egg moves that either of the parents have. You can look up the finer details on websites like Cerebi and Bulbapedia. So with that, we can chuck Noivern and Taillow into the breeding machine and get the necessary items they need, which is a lot, as items needed are based on types, and we're coming for a dragon, normal, and flying, and then wait 2 hours for the egg. Similar to the main games, you can use a Pokemon with the ability Magma Armor or Flame Body to speed up the hatching process. Just know that this doesn't work while you're in the sky. I flew all the way to my home base with no progress, only for it to start showing cracks almost immediately after I started running around. And there's the Taillow, which will absolutely break the first gym, with both Hurricane and Boom Burst at the low level of 1. And I gave it Air Slash just cause I could. The 2 other additions to my team were Rotom, who I found in the mansion near Alistair, so that we can avoid normal moves if need be, and Togetic, who I'm only really bringing as I can evolve it immediately into a Togekiss, who has a pretty good damage output with Air Slash. As you can probably tell, I'm putting all of my eggs in the Swallow-shaped basket. All that's left is EV training our team. I maxed out both speed and special attack on all of my Pokemon, made quicker thanks to the XP share I found in the Haunted Mansion. And then I found out that my Taillow speed stat was actually god-awful. It had a negative speed nature and had 5 speed IVs out of 31. It can't even outspeed Raticate. I really should have checked this much sooner. Back to the breeding machine. That makes it sound so much more sinister. And thankfully our next Taillow looks far better, though no boosted special attack this time. Finally we need to buy a Throat Spray, which is actually pretty expensive. Luckily making money on this server is really easy. One quick way is to type /vote, and by following the link to 4 different sites to vote for the server. This will give you up to 2,000 coins a day, and we've got plenty of money with how long we've been playing. I give this to Swallow and give both Togekiss and Rotom a Citrus Berry. Enough talk, time to take on the gym. This time we're pitted against Flapjack, who unfortunately isn't the one who had the Eradicate nor the Chatot. You know, the specific Pokemon I wanted revenge against. This is actually pretty bad for us because he's the one that we're least prepared for, but I have faith in the high-pitched war cries of Swallow. Flapjack leads with Indeedee and I send out my ace, Swallow. He gets some chip in with Fake Out, flinching us, but the next turn we're able to get off our Boom Burst, leaving Indeedee on just 13%. But more importantly, giving us that special attack boost. Poor Flapjack uses Play Nice, lowering my attack, assuming I'm making use of Guts. Nothing Indeedee can do to stop a second Boom Burst. Next is Farfetch'd, who uses a futile quick attack, doing some chip, and then gets obliterated by a single Boom Burst. Good lord, what have I unleashed? And finally it's Miltank, who's pretty tanky but has a low special defense. Boom Burst. And it survives on just 1%. And then Swallow survives the body slam on just 1%. A final Boom Burst gets us our long-awaited first badge. I am in shock. I was not expecting Swallow and its tiny base special stat to be that effective. Like, Chatot has a base special of 92, which is decent. Swallow has a special stat of 75, which is the definition of mediocre. Also, this is a good example of how much a small IV variation can make all the difference. After doing some calcs, it turns out that Molten going down in one hit was a roll. If we had just 2 more IVs, it would have been guaranteed. We got lucky, but that body slam could have been a roll. It could have crit, and it could have paralyzed. There were many stages where things could have gone wrong, but the important part is that we've won, even against the leader that we had the worst matchup against. After all that struggle with my first few attempts, this seems almost comical. And you know what? We're on a roll. The next gym is a bug gym, so we already have everyone we need. Why stop here? Well, first I make 2 changes to my team. The first is changing Rotom's form. By throwing Rotom at a furnace, we can transform into Rotom Heat, who gets overheat upon transforming, which is big, even just for neutral damage. And the second is that I swap out Togekiss. Now this might not make sense at first, as Togekiss has the complete advantage over Bug, having super effective stab against it, and having a 4-turn resistance against Bug moves. But remember, these gym leaders think about their counters unlike vanilla games. Bug is weak to Fire, Flying, and Rock. Out of these 3 types, Rock is super effective against 2 of them, meaning there is definitely a Pokemon that has Rock moves, or even a Bug Rock typing. You can probably tell, but all 3 of the Pokemon in my party right now are weak to Rock, so we should probably fix that. Now Swallow's still the star, so I don't really want to think too deeply about this. I figure Fighting's the best type to add as it resists both Bug and Rock. And we have the perfect one to add to the team. We have a freshly evolved Machamp, and while it doesn't have a moveset, it does have knockoff and it's pretty much going to be a pivot anyway. I maxed out its attack and its HP, giving it a Flame Wall because it has guts, and let's just jump into the second gym. This time we're against Dakota. I lead with Rotom, see what I'm up against, and Dakota sends out Vikavolt, so that was actually a decent play. We start off hitting an overheat, with the Vikavolt hanging on thanks to its Focus Sash. Vikavolt sets up a sticky web, poor fool. Hex finishes it off. As anticipated, out comes the brand new Bug Rock Cleavor. I switch straight into Machamp, taking the Stone Edge, revealing the Life Orb. We get burned by the Flame Orb, but we can stay in for another attack. Unless it has a super effective move. No matter, back to Rotom, whose stats have returned to normal. Cleavor has a pretty weak special defense, so we can just use Overheat. Unless it outspeeds. I swear Cleavor's slow. Turns out it's a lot faster than I expected. But I do know one it can't outspeed. Out comes Swallow. Now this is a bit of a risk, but I see no other option, so I click Hurricane, which hits and takes Cleavor down. And then we dodge a Stone Edge. Wait, there was something wrong with that sentence. So we got stuck in something we call the Endless Battle bug. This is something that's well known in the Pixelmon community and something that there isn't a direct fix for, aside from ending the battle. We absolutely would have had that. I can't think of a single bug Pokemon that would have survived 2 Boom Bursts and could have one-shot Swallow without a crit, unless they had another Bug Rock type, which I doubt. I was kinda salty, but Dakota kindly offered me an immediate rematch, so let's just go in for round 2. At least this time we have insider info. I'm not counting those deaths. This time, however, instead of finishing Vikavolt off, I switch into Machamp with the sole purpose of him being a sack. It's not like he's gonna be much good against Cleavor anyway. And this gives me an opportunity to safely bring out Swallow, who can now get off a safe Boom Burst, activating her Throat Spray. And now with Cleavor out, we can just— I'm a f***ing idiot. I did the equivalent of mashing A with my mouse and clicked Boom Burst. Of course that wasn't a kill. Swallow goes down to a Stone Edge. The salt levels are rising again. And yeah, we're not beating Cleavor. Unless it misses Stone Edge. I forgot that was even a possibility. It's hit all of them so far. Hex finishes Cleavor off. And the last Pokemon was a Golisopod. Swallow could have easily taken Golisopod, even with an Air Slash. Come on. It goes down to a single Electro Ball. And that's the Bug Gym. First try. Kind of. Okay, now hear me out. Sure, we won the second time. But we easily would have won the first time around if it didn't glitch. Based on Electro Ball one-shotting, Golisopod likely had no investment in special defense and not much in HP. Surely that meant Swallow would have technically survived and one-shot. Well, actually, if I go by that, then that means I lose Rotom. Both are pretty sad outcomes. Machamp's dead either way. So this is probably because the wound's fresh, but I want to hear what your opinions are. Should I count my first attempt or my second? I'm not even sure which outcome I prefer. We waited so long to get the perfect Swallow, but Rotom's a perfect Pokemon to patch up a team with its different forms. I won't be using either of them in the next gym anyway as its psychic, so I want to see what the general consensus is. Speaking of which, I actually did all the preparation for the next gym, but when I went to challenge it, it bugged out. So I tried again the next day, and the next, and the day I'm recording this I tried again, and no luck. So I've been speaking with the mods, and it turns out this is a known bug that happens sometimes. The conditions aren't really known, but this is a fix that needs to be made to the Pixelmon mod. So as it turns out, I'll need to wait for a patch. This doesn't happen to everyone, but it can happen randomly. I'm still gonna keep trying every day, but it's not happening for this video. So we'll leave all the events leading up to that for the next video, and I think this is a good place to start wrapping up. Despite some hiccups, we made tons of progress today in this short video. Not only getting our vengeance, but also getting the second badge. And I'm not done yet. In my first video, Our Humble Beginnings, I smelted some iron to make Pokeballs. A stack of 64 to be exact, and we ran into this cute little guy. According to the stats, this was a 2% chance to happen. Unbelievable, I'm never that lucky. And my point is promptly proven, as when I go to select Pokeballs in my bag, my game crashes. Of course. But we aren't quitters. Meltan became a quick favorite of mine when it was revealed, and after that roll, it was fate. We just needed to put in a bit more work. So for my second video, I mined up 515 pieces of ore, a 15% chance for a Meltan, and nothing. Well, this is clearly a test. So for my third video, I went all out and mined 1014 blocks of ore, and yeah, you get the picture. So what do you think I have in mind for this video? What lengths did I go to land my precious metal? The answer is nothing. I did nothing. The plan was to go even bigger, but once I mined around 200 pieces of ore and realized I only hit 10% on my goal, I just noticed I wasn't having much fun. So I figured we'll find Meltan in due time. There's no need to do this every video. Sorry for dragging that out. I just wanted to remind you all of my horrendous luck, and I thought it'd be funny. Did you laugh? Well, something cool did happen, but of course off camera. I ran into a Zacian while looking for a role to be my catching butler. I did want to die a little inside since this was one of the few times I didn't record my playtime, but hey, that's pretty cool, huh? Even came with a rusted sword. I really need something interesting to happen before I end this video. Well, we do have the weekly crate keys that we can use, so let's see what we land. Okay, a Kabutops, that's alright I guess. And Aurorus. Come on, we need something good to happen. Actually, Shiny Aurorus looks pretty cool. A shame that's such a terrible Pokemon. Hey, but something amazing did happen when we went to open the crates. We landed a new subscriber, and that's the best shiny we could ask for. Game Riddler even gave me a shiny Hoothoot and a Krabby, so we're a third of the way to creating a shiny Ash team, which is kind of something I want to do now. Future shiny hunting idea. Also, I'm not selling you my shiny Lunala. It's all I have to my name. Alright, vote crates. I'm really grasping at straws here. Level balls, oh. Wait, what? That could actually be interesting. Are you f***ing serious? After mining so much ore, the real strat to finding Meltan was playing hard to get. Who would have known? Now we're halfway to my shiny Ash team. He's so goddamn precious. I love him. Thank you all for watching. We've gotten 2 gym badges and a shiny Meltan. Like, this is the best possible way I could have ended my video. It is a shame that we couldn't challenge the 3rd gym, and we'll have to wait for a patch, but I think this is also a good place to put this series on hold. I have finally completed my backlog of videos leading all the way up to the release of Scarlet and Violet, so I am a happy boy, and can start periodically releasing those videos. Just to give you guys some insight on what I'm planning, I'm basically going to be dedicating the entire month to Scarlet and Violet challenges, so I want to make some other videos just as a buffer so people don't get bored. This Pixelmon series was a way to do so while still releasing some content, even if it's not as popular. Something you're going to learn about me is that when a new Pokemon game drops, I do a deep dive into them. I'm one of those RPG players that likes to 100% even the most mindless of tasks as long as there's a quantifier. And Pokemon sure is good at that. Unfortunately, this isn't good for the YouTube algorithm, which I've been upsetting recently. So my plan is to release my first playthrough Hardcore Nuzlocke as a series, kind of like this Pixelmon one, but daily and not scripted. Speaking of which, for the 10 people that are still watching, when these games drop, how interested would you guys be in me streaming them? Like I said, I play new releases religiously for the first month, to the point where I've taken a significant time off work. I don't want to hear how sad that is. But I thought it'd be fun sharing the new experience, especially now that I have people that actually watch my videos fairly regularly. Don't worry, I'm a big boy. I can take a no not really as an answer and only cry for 5 minutes. For the record, I'm still going to be playing Pixelmon in my own time and will still be recording my playtime. I just won't be making videos on it for the time being. So if you're looking to try this mod out, join me on the Quantum server on play.pocketpixels.net. And join my Discord. Half the fun is talking to you lot, either in person or in game. Discord just makes it easier. Everything is linked in the description. And you can join their Discord as well, discord.gg/pocketpixels. Also be sure to get your welcome pack. All you do is go to the store, go to Pixelmon, featured items, select the welcome pack and fill out your Minecraft username and the server you're playing on. Just select no add-ons and press continue. This pack is entirely free and includes a shiny Pokemon and a Master Ball. And that's it from me today. I've had tons of fun playing Pixelmon and will admit I'm kind of addicted now. Like I said, I'm still going to be playing it regularly, so I hope to see you guys there. I'll just hold off on making videos for now. We started this playthrough losing a Meltan but gaining a shiny Lunala, and we're ending this chapter of the playthrough losing our ability to challenge gyms but gaining a shiny Meltan. That's very fitting for my brand of luck. Also subscribe. See ya.